All right, folks, it's been an eventful day for me, and I'm sorry I wasn't around to chat with you during the premiere. There was a premiere of a video I did earlier. I was actually at the gun range, seeing as it is one of the few free days that I've had. I thought it would be wrapped up earlier, but it wasn't. But in any case, I think it's important for you to go out and let's just say take advantage of certain freedoms that might not be freedoms come the future because our country is basically going into the shitter. Yes, Kirsten Cinema, a borderline moron, like certifiable moron. Are you aware, by the way, that the word moron was once used in order to denote certain handicapped people that have issues? Now you actually can't say handicap. Well, in any case, Kirsten Sinema is going to be a U.S. senator from Arizona. She's not going to be a good one, by the way. Those of you that are asking, because how good of a congresswoman was she? And to be honest with you, her opponent Martha McSally, I don't see why people look. Yes, was she a great veteran? Absolutely. Was she a great pilot? Yes, but she was not anything special as a congressperson. But we're not here to talk about that. Here to talk about Mark Penn, who was Hillary Clinton's advisor in 2008 during her election run. He is a pretty well established um, political pundit. Worked very hard in 1996 to get Bill Clinton elected. You can actually read a little about his stuff in one of Dick Morris's books called Behind the Oval Office. I have it in the library behind me, the Bill and Hillary Clinton Presidential Penitentiary Library. So Mark Penn is basically saying, yes, Hillary Clinton will run again. Here's how she'll easily win the nomination. Now, this is the first time I'm reading this, but I think a lot of these are points that I've already heard before, and that I think they have some validity. Some of it, let's take with a grain of salt. Get ready for Hillary Clinton 4.0. More than 30 years in the making, this new version of Mrs. Clinton, when she runs for president in 2020, will come full circle back to the universal health care promoting progressive firebrand of 1994. Shoot her name. Mrs. Clinton will fight this out until the last dog dies. She won't let a little thing like two stunning defeats stand in the way of her claim to the White House. It's been quite a journey. In July 1999, Mrs. Clinton began her independent political career. It's not really independent. On retiring Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan's farm in upstate New York. For those of you that don't know, Daniel Patrick Moynihan is one of the last liberal Democrats who was actually an independent. Meaning that, yes, he did believe in liberalism. He did believe in a lot of the issues of, affirmative action and things like that. But he wasn't somebody who would basically go along with all of the abuses of the Clinton administration. And certainly, I think he was a little more of an intelligent person. I'm not as charitable nowadays with what's happening to the Democratic Party. I don't think they have anybody like Daniel Patrick Moynihan. Nobody. I don't think, and that's without. I mean, they have some people that they have good areas like Tulsi Gabbard, where they're very consistently anti-war, and then you'll see a couple that are just a little more low key and don't really. There's certain like red state Democrats that don't necessarily go and rouse up a lot of anger or anything, but they're not even. The fact is, I can't think of one right now. I mean, it's that bad. Sherrod Brown, who we'll get to, isn't exactly a firebrand, but anyway, so I can't believe we're talking about Hillary running again, but it's just coming up more and more often. Her Senate platform includes support for a balanced budget, the death penalty, and incremental health. She supported the death penalty? I didn't know that. And incremental health care reform. It was a decisive break from her early 1990s self. Hillary Clinton 2.0 was a moderate building on the success of her communitarian, it takes a village appeals, and pledging to bring home the bacon for New York. She emphasized her religious background, voiced strong support for Israel, voted for the Iraq War, and took a hard line against Iran. So I think those are all issues that you run on in order to win in New York State. The Iraq War isn't as important. I don't think that if you look around. So let's be frank here. Okay, I'm Jewish. There's a major Jewish community in New York State. I think it's either the largest or the second largest Jewish community in the country. I think California is steadily growing because there's a lot of people who live in the LA area, especially the Iranian community there. Iranian Jews, of course. So those people are, in many cases, they're very pro-Israel. I don't think that they're as united on the Iraq War as people would think. And then taking a hard line against Iran, I think that's a little self-explanatory. So she ran on a lot of those topics in New York State. This was arguably the most successful version of Hillary Clinton. She captured the hearts and minds of New York's voters and soared to an easy re-election in 2006, leaving Bill and all of his controversies behind. So this is something where, now remember, Mark Penn worked for her during much of this era. So he has a very idealized memory of this. I would say that the people of New York never, the average person in New York State never really warmed to Hillary Clinton. A lot of people kind of look at her as an out-of-state carpetbagger. She came in, she put on the Yankees cap, even though people already knew that she was a Cubs fan from birth. And by the way, she betrayed the Cubs, so fuck her. She will never get a vote from me. I'm a Cubs fan. But in any case, and believe me, that's the least of the reasons. But in any case, yeah, I think that he's really just whitewashing a lot of the issues here that have made Hillary Clinton just hated around the country. And it was that period, by the way, of her supporting the Iraq War, of her doing all of this deep state bullshit. I think she voted for the Patriot Act. She was complicit in all of the issues that George Bush really screwed up. Everything that George Bush was accused of, Hillary Clinton was complicit in. Okay, so I'm a person. I didn't vote for President Bush. I also wasn't that big into politics back in the mid 2000s. I also didn't live here for part of the 2000s, but I've never voted for him, so I feel zero guilt for that. The first election I wasn't eligible to vote, and then the second election I didn't vote at all. And I believe in 2008 I didn't vote either, when I could have voted for Obama or McCain or Hillary Clinton in the primary or whatever. I would have voted for Ron Paul at the time, but I actually wasn't registered. So you guys are probably laughing now. Oh, well, you didn't do anything to change anything, did you? Bold. So yeah, it's the truth. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you, oh, I did everything I could to stop Barack Obama, or I regret. I never supported any of these people. I never had any strong feelings either way. Except I did. I'll go on the record as saying this: I never hated Barack Obama until way after he was in power. I always hated Hillary Clinton. Always hated her. And I never trusted Bush or McCain or Gore and any of the two-party system. I probably would have voted for Nader at the time in 2004. But Hillary Clinton was much more complicit than any person that you find right now on the political scene in everything that Bush did. And I think, for the record, I think George Bush was a bad president, possibly one of the worst presidents in American history. And they're trying to rehabilitate him now in order to make it, they're trying to make it digestible, the fact that so many of Bush's supporters and major officials have ended up supporting Hillary Clinton because she would basically, she would basically institute Bush 3.0, whereas Obama was Bush 2.0. That's what people don't understand. I guess it would be Bush 4.0 because remember his dad was president too. And yeah, I have to say, I don't support any of them. I think we haven't had a good president in years. But President Reagan was a pretty good president, I guess. Not as good as a lot of these conservatives like Rush Limbaugh tried to make him out to be, but he was much better than the ones we've had since then. Much better. Not even it's not even a contest. How awful the Bushes and the Clintons and Obama have been to this country, and Donald Trump I think is at least reversing some of this crap. With NAFTA, with all of this talk of other trade deals, with his deregulation of a lot of businesses. Now, I wish there was really an alternative to the mainstream media that could compete with the mainstream media, on the same platform, so that we would actually see that a lot of the things that are happening now have to happen because there's no other way this country can continue to function as an independent and sovereign nation as long as Clintons and Bushes continue to run for office. So he keeps going. He says, but Hillary the 2.0 could not overcome Barack Obama, the instant press sensation. During the 2008 presidential campaign, Ms. Clinton held fast to centrist positions that would have assured her victory in the general election, but progressive leaders and donors abandoned her for anti-war Mr. Obama. Black voters who had been strong Clinton supporters in New York and Arkansas left her column to elect the first African-American president. History was made, but not by Mrs. Clinton, though she won more delegates from Democratic primaries. Activists in caucus states gave Mr. Obama, who had called her likable enough, the heartbreaking win. I think that this is again too. Mark Penn, by the way, is a Hillary Clinton advisor who never warmed to Barack Obama. Never did. I can't get the rest of the story because of the paywall. So I'll try to build the rest of it from now because I can't read the rest of it. Now, Mark Penn, I think that there's valid things that he says that I have no, well, maybe I can find this because it's probably saved on archive.com. Whoops. So sorry guys, I'm gonna have to do a little dead space here because I think it's valuable to at least read the rest of this because this is kind of a firsthand. No, they screwed me all the way to the end. So no, we're gonna have to extrapolate it. So basically, I'll fill in the last 10 years of Hillary Clinton's life. Basically, what Penn is saying is that the Hillary Clinton 1.0 was the Hillary Clinton that made it to office as First Lady under her husband Bill. Actually, not so much under him because a lot of other women were under him. But let's not get into semantics here. Hillary Clinton 2.0 was her as a senator becoming the more moderate, reasoned, statesman like Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton 3.0 was the post-Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, who I guess she kind of went off the rails because under Barack Obama, okay, in the minds of people like Mark Penn, Hillary Clinton kind of lost her way. But the reality is that Hillary Clinton had lost her way way too many years before. It's like I guess you could say that if Hillary Clinton went to hell, the devil would write to heaven asking why his domain is being corrupted by this filth. Okay, Hillary Clinton was an awful human being for men, and you guys know me. I'm not the biggest moralist. I don't like to make judgments on people. We're making an exception here. She's garbage. She just is. As First Lady of Arkansas, she basically oversaw one of the most corrupt state governments, and she looked the other way as her husband basically banged a lot of sluts using using state troopers as his security detail in order to get more sluts, basically, and she didn't care. That was not important. The fact that you're using police resources in order to bang a lot of sluts, that wasn't important. So I'm not buying Mark Penn's supposition that she became corrupted by the levers of power, once she became Secretary of State, because as senator, I think in his mind, because she became much more centrist as a senator, that was the good Hillary Clinton coming out. No, no, it's all a fake. There's nothing real about that. She didn't get actually anything accomplished as a senator or a Secretary of State. So phase 3 Hillary Clinton, the post Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, was basically the one that lost in 2016, the one with the email scandal, the one with all of the Clinton Foundation scandals, the one who is basically muscling through the media and strong-arming them into not giving any criticism of her, into leaking to her debate questions, into basically bossing the DNC into rigging the primaries in favor of her against a geriatric, delusional, like dementia-ridden guy like Bernie Sanders. By the way, Bernie Sanders, much better candidate than her, because he actually cares. He cared about a lot of the things he was talking about. I think since then, the real Bernie Sanders has come out, and the man is basically a shadow of himself, and it's reflected by electoral results. I'm not saying that people shouldn't be able to support him. I'm just saying that they're completely out of their gourd if they think that he's become strengthened since 2016. He's actually become very weakened, and I'll probably try to go into that a little more in a minute. But yeah, I could devote a whole segment just to that, the way that Hillary Clinton has become stronger. If you're looking within the Democratic Party, she's become stronger since 2016, and Bernie Sanders has actually become weaker. Okay, people should realize that. People think that it's the other way around. Okay, if we're talking about the people who actually have power within the Democratic Party, I'm not talking about voters, because the voters, if you haven't noticed, the voters don't determine anything in this country anymore. We're basically reduced to, like American Idol viewers or something. It just doesn't matter. And probably even less. I think viewers do have some effect in American Idol. But whatever. So these are the 2020 presidential hopefuls, according to AM New York, which is, I think, from Albany. And I'm just using this as kind of a guide. I'm not really depending on their insight. So we'll breeze through these. Michael Bloomberg will lose. I don't see Michael Bloomberg winning anything. He basically became mayor of New York because he's very rich and he could buy the position by, bombarding people with ads and harassing them and taxing the city to death, and also the gun control and tons of cops and what do you call it, stop and frisk and everything. Yeah, Michael Bloomberg would be a horrible candidate for anything now. He's not well liked anywhere, and yeah, that's him. Then you have Joe Biden. Gives you a little tingle, doesn't it, to know that Joe Biden will be running? Yeah, Joe Biden would be a horrible candidate. I think that people think that the polls are really a reflection of how good a person will do, but Biden was it says even here he was unsuccessful running in 1988 and 2008. He decided not to run in 2016 primarily because of the death of his oldest son in 2015. I think that Joe Biden is a huge coward. He's basically he will puss out eventually. He might enter the race and then lose a couple of the primaries. This is what people don't realize, that national polls, when it comes to presidential elections, national polls don't mean shit. What will end up happening is that all the candidates will go to Iowa and New Hampshire for the first two primaries. Joe Biden will earn something like third place. You'll probably see somebody like Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton or who else could probably compete in Iowa? Some sort of governor candidate. There's the guy from I think Max Baucus or something. I don't remember there's the governor of Montana is a Democrat. So somebody like that will win Iowa. Instantly, Biden's support will plummet. Then they go to New Hampshire. He loses New Hampshire probably to Hillary or Bernie, if Bernie is running again. And then his campaign is over because that's what happened to Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani, for those that don't know, ran in 2008, depending on winning the Florida primary, which I think was maybe like a month after the first primary. But by the time Florida came around, all of the other elections had, like all the other primaries, they basically affect the polls for the primaries going forward. So if you were leading in Florida at the beginning of all the primaries, the first time that you lose a primary before that, like in Iowa, let's say you lose 5%, then you lose in North New Hampshire, that's another 10%. Then you lose in South Carolina, then you completely fall apart, and people decide, well, he's not even worth supporting. So that's what would happen to Joe Biden. People think that those polls really mean something, where he's leading the pack. It doesn't mean anything. Kirsten Gillibrand, yes, she would be a good candidate. A good candidate in terms of, I wouldn't support her, but there's no criminal issues that I know about with her. And you do see Eric Schneiderman in the background here. That's the pervert that was the New York Attorney General that had to resign. So yeah, Kirsten Gillibrand would be a kind of a deep threat against Hillary, because she's the person who took her Senate seat after she ran for president, and she's much younger. She's much more well spoken. She's not as easy to hate. So yeah, Kirsten Gillibrand would probably be able to do it. She'd probably be able to do it. I don't think that she would beat Hillary, but she at least has a chance. Kamala Harris, no, she wouldn't win. Kamala Harris is hated in the Midwest. People do not like her. I remember during the Kavanaugh hearings, people were looking. She was basically like the Grand Inquisitor. She was not just during the Kavanaugh hearings. I think I remember her when Jeff Sessions was being confirmed. Back when people cared about Jeff Sessions being confirmed and they hated him, the Democrats hated him and called him a Ku Klux Klansman, and the Republicans at the time were of course supporting him. And nowadays it's reversed. Nowadays you need Jeff Sessions to stay in office, because otherwise Russia is going to steal. They're going to steal the election again, the election that was 2 years ago. By the way, how did they not steal the election this year? I think that's a fair question at this point. How is it that Russia is not even mentioned one time now? And Donald Trump has been in power for 2 years, and yet for some reason you can't blame anything that's happened in this election on Russia, even though supposedly he would probably have a little more influence given that he's president now. Okay, can anybody answer that question? I don't think so. So, yeah, I think Kamala Harris, she is hated around the country in any area that's not a blue state. So she would probably be able to win states like New Jersey or Maryland or whatever, but no, she would never win in a million years a race in Iowa. People keep thinking that she's like the second, like a female Obama with a vagina. But no, she has, like, Obama was a relatable person. He could relate to people in the Midwest. He was not a California liberal like she was. He was at least somebody from Chicago area, somebody who had a little experience running around the Midwest. I think some of it was fake, but she can't even fake it. So no. Bernie Sanders, yes, he would probably be a good competitor for Hillary Clinton, but he won't be able to. He'll just get screwed again because he has no balls and would probably crumble and fade away, just like he always does, by the way. Bernie Sanders, those of you that support him, why are you supporting him? Why don't you support somebody with real principles, who's willing to stand up and not take shit from people? They should stand up for Tulsi Gabbard. They should stand up for people like Jill Stein or that other guy, Tim Canova. People that have fought and actually taken the punches in order to move their agenda forward. And it's not an agenda I support, but they're more credible people. they never cucked to the establishment. To my knowledge, I think Tulsi Gabbard. I'd have to research more. I'm not aware of her actually, curtsying to the Democratic establishment, but I could be wrong. Michelle Obama, no. Michelle wants to be celebrity in chief. That's the only thing she. By the way, she never cared about actually changing anything while she was in the White House as the first lady. Michelle Obama likes just the attention that comes from being the wife of the president. She doesn't actually have any suggest. She's empty in terms of policy. The other night I was watching the Cowboys game in the gym at the gym. By the way, a real shocking victory. I was predicting that they would be blown out, and I am happy that the victory happened. But whatever, this isn't even the topic. Michelle Obama, on the elliptical next to mine, there was a special playing for about an hour and a half on ABC devoted to becoming Michelle Obama. What the hell does that even mean? Okay, an hour and a half they just obsess over her. And apparently, I think it was NBC is supposed to air a similar special, not even the same one, coming up. I think it's because she's releasing some book or something. Yeah, these people are being treated like the royal family here. So no, I'm not going to. I don't think that they need the Obamas don't need to run for president again because the press basically has never stopped treating them like they're God and Goddess of America. Andrew Cuomo. It says here probably not. I would say that there's a strong chance of him running because he's a scumbag. He said that if God strikes me dead, otherwise I will serve 4 years as governor of New York. No, I think he's lying. I think he would run for president. I think the reason he would run for president is not to win, by the way. The reason he would run for president is that he would probably, if he earns enough votes, possibly wins New York State, which, given the idiocy of the voters who reelected him this time, even though he's ruined the economy of the state over the past 8 years, yeah, he could definitely win, and then he would be a power broker. He would be able to demand something like the vice presidency or some other major office where he would be unaccountable to anybody. That's why Andrew Cuomo would run for president. By the way, people don't know this. He was the Secretary of Housing under President Clinton. Cory Booker, yeah, he's gonna lose. Nobody likes Cory Booker. Cory Booker, by the way, said that he would support an anti-BDS bill in Congress this week. A bill that I oppose because I am a freedom of speech absolutist. The only reason he's supporting it is because he's from New Jersey, and there is a major Jewish community there, and he was caught taking a picture with some pro-BDS activists. They were holding a sign that said, "From Palestine to Mexico, all the walls will fall," or I don't remember. It was something like that. So yeah, he's doing that to compensate for a big political mistake he made earlier. And then Elizabeth Warren, we've talked about enough. Yeah, she would not win. She's garbage. Oprah Winfrey. Okay. So, and then the final person I want to talk about is Sherrod Brown. I might go a little over time here, but what are you gonna do? Sherrod Brown is this is him. This is your new president, according to my shitty local paper. Look at him. He looks basically like he's about to sell you some sort of life insurance, and or tell you or a bit. He looks like Al Bundy. He looks like he runs a shoe store or something. And yeah, they think he could win, even though he's accomplished literally nothing here. And he did win 53% of the vote against his Republican challenger, Jim Renacci, who aligned himself with Trump. Well, so what? Sherrod Brown has won 3 races now for statewide, but he hasn't accomplished anything with it. He's literally been useless as a U.S. senator. Okay, we haven't seen many bills that passed thanks to his. He's not a leader in the Senate by any stretch of the imagination. So I think the main motivation for him to run would be similar to Cuomo, that if he was to win the state of Ohio, which he could do, it would be the same issue as with John Kasich. Okay, John Kasich ran because maybe he was setting himself up for a future run. By the way, John Kasich could probably also run in 2020 as an independent or something, and embarrass himself losing. But essentially, Sherrod Brown would win the state of Ohio and possibly leverage if there's like nobody comes out as a clear winner from the delegates. He could probably say, well, I mean, I want to be vice president, or if you give me, if you want my delegates, you have to make me secretary of labor or something. I could see him doing that. I could see him, trying to leverage some position out of it. Sherrod Brown, by the way, some of the comments I was reading on here before, they're going to be saying, but by the way, if this is such a if Sherrod Brown is so worth voting for, and we're talking about my state of Ohio, then how come the plain dealer isn't talking about Mike DeWine, who also won a crushing victory last week? Why can't he run for president in 20? I mean, he's going to be pretty old, but in 2024, let's say Trump loses. I mean, Mike, I guarantee you that in 4 or 5 years, 6 years, I guess, is when that election is going to be happening. They're not going to be talking about Mike DeWine running for office, because Mike DeWine has won so many races here, but the plain dealer keeps endorsing the other guy. They keep thinking that the more they endorse Mike DeWine, he's not going to win elections here. They don't get it. A lot of these politicians, these Republican politicians that succeed here, they're not even that good. They just seem to succeed because the local media they have their heads so far up their asses that people deliberately vote for the person they don't endorse. So here's a few reactions to this. It says, so I've read a couple of these already. Who freed Ohio from NAFTA, TPP, and the Paris Accords? Not Sherrod Brown. And this one says, Sherrod Brown may well be the dumbest person in the Senate, and that's a competitive title. This person says, of course he should run, so qualified. Just look at his resume. In 12 years in the Senate, he fought to get rid of bad dog food and question mark. And then this person, this is my favorite one. Rumpled shirt skin has been in public office since 1975. That's the year I graduated high school. Can anyone please post a major legislative accomplishment of this professional politician and taxpayer leech? So I looked it up. Yes, he was elected to the Ohio State General Assembly in 1975, and then later he served as Secretary of State of Ohio, and then as a congressman in Washington for I think it was 9 years. No, it was 10 years, and then he won the Senate race in 2006 against Mike DeWine. This one says Sherrod doesn't have the national exposure or fundraising ability. The Dems will rally behind a socialist from California or New York. So all they're getting is trolls here. There's nobody on plain dealer. This person says, "Oh, goody! I hope he gets the full Kavanaugh over batting around his ex," which he did. It's known that he did beat his first wife. Okay, so they're basically saying, "Oh, okay, we're fine with somebody who physically abused his ex-wife running for president because he's from Ohio, and we're not going to ask any questions about it." And this person says, panel, excuse me, Mr. Schultz, I mean Brown, did you beat your ex-wife? Cheryl, I have to claim the fifth, but if I did, it's because she wouldn't listen. So they call him Mr. Schultz because his wife is kind of this banshee who used to write for the paper here, the Plain Dealer. Only people in Northeast Ohio are dumb enough to vote for him. Yes, that's true. This one says he always looks like an unmade bed. His voice is past annoying. Senator Schultz runs behind the clown car of 72K. So these are people. None of Ohio is none of the people in Ohio is actually supporting him. Here's a person that says, actually not a big Sherrod fan, but it would be funny to see him win just to witness the old bitter man rant that Archie Bunker would do on here. So yeah, I guess that's another one of the posters here. I'd like to see Sherrod run with Keith Ellison as his running mate. There's quite a few jokes in there somewhere. That is and then the reply here, that duo would take a beating and give one because it's domestic violence again. The Democrats don't care about domestic violence. By the way, if Hillary Clinton, Sherrod Brown, and Keith Ellison all ran for president in 2020, the Democrats would be the domestic violence party. Okay, all three of those people have been accused of domestic violence. Hillary Clinton, everybody likes to forget, was accused and credibly sourced by people within the Secret Service, including somebody who spoke on this show, to have thrown a lamp at her husband while he was president. But anyway, we could keep reading these all day, but that's enough. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to my other channel, Razor Ray Live Wounds, share the video, and also contribute to the Patreon if you want to help promote this. And also, please comment on this video after it uploads. And thank you very much.